Let's dive into the discussions shaping the nation.
And we're happy to constructively engage on this.
Thank you, Taoiseach. We move now to the Labour Group Leader, Deputy Ivana Bacik.
Taoiseach, Minister O'Donovan has had a string of bad luck with ministerial issues, a sort of reverse Midas touch. In his previous role, he had to deal with bike shelter and security hut overspends by the OPW. Now, weeks into his new job, we find out about this extraordinary and alarming spend of nearly €7 million on a failed IT project at the Arts Council. Taoiseach, this enormous waste of public money raises serious questions about governance at that body and about oversight. About what oversight, if any, the Arts Department and the Department of Public Expenditure had over such a major IT project, such a significant spend resulting in nothing. It raises questions about a cover-up by the last government, many of whose members are now serving in this cabinet. This unfortunate debacle, Taoiseach, must not be used to undermine support for the arts or for artists. Ireland's contribution to the arts is a source of immense pride. Our paintings, writings, music, film, theatre, comedy are an envy of the world, and many artists are not sufficiently rewarded for their work. We in Labour have always championed the arts. President Michael D. Higgins, now President, was an inspirational Labour Minister for the Arts. And we're conscious, I think, that many of those who are funded by the Arts Council will be worried today that their vital supports might now be undermined arising from this controversy. So, Taoiseach, you and Minister O'Donovan must now reassure artists that their funding will be protected and that we will see full disclosure and accountability for this overspend. Oireachtas committees have yet to be formed, so we need to have a debate on this in the Dáil next week. Because, Taoiseach, it appears that the entire management of this project was shambolic. I would question many aspects of governance and of management of the project at the Arts Council and indeed at the department too. And I think all of us have very serious questions arising from this issue. Here are some specific questions. First, why has the Arts Department been so dogged by controversies about overspends and lack of oversight over semi-states? Second, why was there no relevant expertise, it appears, on the Arts Council senior management team, leading to such undue reliance on private contractors to deliver this massive and complex project? Third, were red flags raised by those with knowledge of the project, and were those concerns ignored or dismissed? And I understand in particular that 2 reviews took place into this project which raised concerns about levels of risk, both in the summer of 2022 and again at the end of 2023. Can you explain why, particularly at that earlier juncture in 2022, a decision was apparently made to proceed with the project, notwithstanding serious concerns? And finally, can you commit that the review the Minister has ordered into the Arts Council, and we welcome the review, that review will include a root and branch review of governance and management systems? And Taoiseach, I do reiterate my call for a Dáil debate on this massive waste, which has caused such anger among the public.
Thank you, Deputy Taoiseach, to respond.
Well, thanks very much, Cord. I think a Dáil debate would of course be useful, absolutely, and I agree with you. If we had committees established, and I hope we will very shortly, I'm sure there'd be very serious questions to be asked of the Arts Council, because breaching the public spending code can't be a consequence-free zone. It simply can't, and these issues are absolutely alarming, quite frankly. And you know, people can make mistakes in terms of the delivery of projects, and that's one thing. But it's very different when you actually just ignore the public spending code and the various approval processes. And there are very serious questions now for the Arts Council to answer on this. In fairness to my colleague, Minister Patrick O'Donovan, he's only been in the department a couple of weeks, and I do believe he's acted very swiftly. He briefed Cabinet on it yesterday. He's commissioned a full external review of the governance and culture at the Arts Council, which I know you've welcomed. And I can absolutely assure you, Deputy, nobody is happy with what's gone on here. When taxpayers' money is given to the Arts Council, it's exactly for the reasons that you say, to support our many brilliant artists and artistic endeavours right across our country. We don't expect it to be spent on a computer system that doesn't work, and we don't expect millions of taxpayers' money to be wasted with nothing to show for it. So there are extraordinarily serious questions for the Arts Council here. I've no doubt that, as well as the review that the Minister has initiated, it's important when the new Public Accounts Committee is established that they too, in my view, will look at this. And I've been looking myself just at even the table of the number of companies involved in this project. I think there's at least 20. I mean, spreadsheet after spreadsheet after spreadsheet, and people who made significant amounts of money out of this, profited and we don't have a computer system. So, you know, I have a very simple philosophy here. When we pay somebody to manage and to run an agency, we expect them to run it properly, and we expect them to run it in line with the public spending code. There's very serious issues that we already know of. The project cost was not properly estimated by the Arts Council, nor was any final estimate as is required under the public spending code. Between 2021 and 2024, the Arts Council approved additional budget for the project without approval from the department, as is also required under the public spending code. The Arts Council frequently changed and extended contracts with certain external suppliers, going over the allowed limit for cost increases in several cases. These actions likely contravene public procurement procedures, and additionally exceeding prescribed contract value limits without retendering also breaches EU procurement rules on substantial modifications to contracts. The Arts Council also failed to report these breaches in the Chair's letter to the Minister as required by the Code of Practice for the governance of state bodies. And let's be honest, the Arts Council has responsibility for a very significant budget, which has significantly increased objectively in recent years. So there are very serious issues here. There's also issues in relation to the department's oversight of the Arts Council, and I don't shirk from that either, and I think that has to be a part of the review too.
Thank you, Taoiseach Deputy.
Well, I thank you for the response, Taoiseach, and I'm glad that you acknowledge that clearly there are questions here for the Department as well as for the Arts Council. And I did listen to Minister O'Donovan speaking this morning on the radio and expressing his anger and his disappointment. But we do need more than just expressions of anger and disappointment from the line Minister. We do need greater clarity on when he became aware of this. I'm conscious he is only recently in the job, but as I've said, this government contains many Cabinet Ministers who were also Cabinet Ministers in the last government. And there is a question also about levels of knowledge in the last government about this, about those timelines. We need clarity on the timelines for this review that's now been commissioned, and we need greater clarity on the timeline of events which led to this overspend. I reviewed the 2023 annual report of the Arts Council, which is now online. The report of the Chair, drafted in June of 2024, makes no mention of any of this. Artists and all of us must have confidence in the Arts Council, in its senior management and in the Department of the Arts, because as you say, there is so much public money here at stake, and it's so important that we see our artists properly supported. So we do need to ensure, in restoring that confidence, that we have a review, a really root and branch review of the Arts Council processes and internal culture, but also of the Department of the Arts oversight and public procurement rules. And I reiterate my call, Taoiseach, for a dull debate on this.
I've already said I think that would be a good idea, Deputy Bacik. Minister, I think Minister O'Donovan's in post around 2 weeks. Not sure he could have acted much more quickly at all. I don't think it's impossible to have acted more quickly in terms of bringing this issue to Cabinet. And just to be very clear, because you've said it twice, this issue was not brought to the attention of the previous government. It would have been preferable had it been, and as recently as this morning, I had that matter checked with both the Secretary General of the Department of Arts and with the Secretary to the government as well. It would have been preferable. I believe they believe the department adopted a view that they were endeavouring to get on top of the issue or gather all the facts. I don't think that's a good position. It should have been highlighted at a much earlier stage. But our artists have been let down. I mean, the Arts Council does great work. The Arts Council has done great work, but they've been let down by those who are running the organisation and who've left us with this mess. Who have contravened the public spending code, and that's what the initial examination tells us. Of course, there'll have to be a full external review now. That will obviously have to be published, and we're happy to engage constructively.
Thank you, Taoiseach. We move now to
Like, share, and subscribe, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you.